Hola! And welcome back to Verdun! Now, I absolutely adore Easy Red 2, but just for a bit of a palate cleanser, I thought we'd go back to the delightful days of World War 1, and I would join the beloved French army and play a round of Fort Douaumont. And I am armed with a French 1886 bolt-action rifle. Now, as I said, I still love this game. You know, I kind of want, after Gallipoli, for the World War 1 team to remaster Verdun with all of Isonzo's gameplay and abilities. That would be incredible to me. But for now, I genuinely enjoy just playing this and having the HUD off and having a fun, immersive old time. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh! Shit, Germans! So I am armed with this, which is the French model 1886 bolt-action rifle. Now, this rifle is a technological marvel because it was the first rifle to use smokeless ammunition. That's right, this thing had the first one to use smokeless bullets, which is the 8mm Rebel cartridge, or 8x51R, which actually is kind of a shit cartridge because it is... Shit! Which is actually a shit cartridge because it is 11mm Gras, which is the black powder round the French army used before the Rebel cartridge, the 8mm Rebel, just necked down to 8mm and loaded with smokeless propellant instead of black powder. So it's actually a universally shite cartridge. But it was the first, so, you know, we go from there. Damn it! But yeah, the Rebel was interesting because, as I said, it was kind of the combination of old school and new world ideas. Because this thing, as I said, is a tube round magazine, 8-round tubular magazine. You could put 1 round in the elevator and 1 in the chamber, so theoretically you could get a magazine capacity of 10. In practice, you were not supposed to put 1 in the elevator or 1 in the chamber, so you were supposed to just have 8. Having 1 in the elevator for 9 was the more common sort of soldiery thing to do. So it was a tube round magazine, which is a bit outdated when box magazines and stuff like that was a thing. Oh, damn it. Yeah, and things like the bolt, to take the bolt out, you needed to unscrew it. It was just a little bit out of date, especially by the time of the First World War, because you had the Lee Enfield or the 1903 Springfield or the excellent Mauser GW98, Gewehr 98, whereas the French had this thing, and even then, the French had actually stopped mass producing these things by the time the war started. So that's why they had to switch to their the 1907 Berthier rifle as their kind of impromptu standard, because they just weren't manufacturing enough of these Lebels. But yeah, look, you have to individually load cartridges into it. And you can see that takes a long time. So it's a fascinating rifle that's just out of date by the time First World War started. Now, oh, I nearly shot at that British man. Now, interestingly, the French were aware of that, but the French couldn't really switch rifles in the middle of a war. Although they did experiment with some interesting things, which we will get to if next time we die. But see, having 8 rounds is actually quite a nice thing. But look how long it's taken me to put more rounds in this bloody thing. Ah ha 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 ha. That man with his Luger, I think it was his Luger, nearly bloody took my ass out. Germans! Alright. Good work, Englishman. Alright, where are we going? Oh, aircraft! You know, this game still looks nice. Not amazing, but it looks nice enough. Especially without the hub, it's very atmospheric. Reload. Oh, don't stick my head up. Don't let myself get killed. Alright, come on, guys. Right, reload. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, interestingly, that's actually not... Now, I know that would be this is super autistic, but when you load that 8 round in, it doesn't automatically put it into the bugger chamber. What you have to do is yank the bolt back to flick up the elevator, then push it forward, then yank it back in order to extract that first round. Just something else interesting. Now, thinking of something else interesting, we're going to switch to this, which is what the French experimented with during the war and kind of sort of thought about developing. This is a semi-automatic rifle. Look. Fire 5 rounds. Take it out. Put the thing in. Reload. This is the French RSC 1917 rifle. So the French had, since about 1911, thought about a semi-automatic rifle. But they never really sort of developed how to implement it. During the war, they came up with this system. It is 5 rounds. It is fed from a M-block clip that's loaded in from the bottom. So you unhinge the bottom, put the clip in. It is still chambered in 8x50 lapel. It is an interesting idea. Now, they had another version, the RSC 1918, which used the same clips as the Berthier rifle, and it was just a little bit more refined. As this one, which is the more common one, I think they made 180,000 of these, the 1917s, where they only made something ridiculously low, like 12,000 of the 1918 versions, whereas the 1918 version was clearly superior. Now, the 1917 version, they sort of just gave to colonial troops after the war, and many times they actually disabled their semi-automatic capability, making them single-shot, well, not single-shot, but manually cycling straight pull rifles, because they didn't really trust their colonial troops with semi-automatics. It's just an interesting idea. But it is a genuinely interesting idea of a rifle. So the M-block clip system, feeding from the bottom, is something no one else ever did. With good reason, but yeah. Pity that the 1918 version didn't come out first, because the 1917 used clips that were not interchangeable with the Berthier rifle, whereas the 1918 had interchangeable clips. I imagine the 1918, if it had been issued more, would have been quite popular, because clips are interchangeable, the mechanical system's just a little bit more refined than this 1917. But I would honestly say 5 round M-block clips is just not good for a semi-automatic rifle. Now, the French did eventually adopt a semi-automatic rifle, but it wouldn't be until after World War II. Because the French, after World War I, the French came to the conclusion that all of their small arms were garbage. So first thing they wanted to do was ditch their 8mm label round, because it was out of date and obsolete. So they ditched that in favour of the 7.5x54mm cartridge. They also ditched this thing, which was the first thing they ditched, which this is the Chauchard. Now, the Chauchard automatic rifle. This is another thing of, it's universally reviled as a piece of junk. It's not a piece of junk, but it's not great either. I would consider this the Sten Mark II of World War I. It works, but it is crude, it is not reliable, and if you had the option between this or a Lewis gun or something better, you would take something better. Hence, if you had the option of, say, a Sten Mark II or a Thompson, you would probably take the Thompson. Because who the fuck wants a Sten Mark II, honestly? Now, this thing is a long recoil, so the entire barrel actually goes backwards under recoil, which unlocks the bolt, which causes the bolt in the barrel to move backwards. Then the barrel goes forward, the bolt goes back even more. Then as it goes forward, it picks up a cartridge and then puts it into the chamber and fires it. Now, the thing about this is it was very crudely made. A lot of the parts were not really heat treated right or not made reliably. The bipod is absolute garbage. Like, this is a video game, so it sort of looks like it's a very solid shooting platform. In reality, it is not. And the other big problem, which we will check, is the magazines, which are these massive banana mags, because 8mm Rebel is a rimmed, tapered cartridge, so it needs a curved mag. Oi! Why do you want to execute me? I am performing the job of a fucking light machine gunner. I am providing support fire. Dumb French officers. Right. Oh, he has a BAR, which is much better than this piece of junk. But anyway, point being. So the Shosha was just crude and ineffective, and the cartridge it used was just out of date and not really great. Right. This way, please. Here we go. And also, this thing was not really intended as a light machine gun in the modern sense of the word. This thing was intended as an automatic rifle, so something you'd fire on semi-automatic, and then if you needed to, you could fire it on full auto to repel a counterattack or whatever is going on at the time. So it's a malaligned gun. Like, a lot of people hate it and think it's the universal evil. It is a piece of junk, but it's not the worst piece of junk in the world. There was reasoning behind it, but it was just, the problem was it was crude and rushed. The Belgians made a nicer version of this thing after the war. Oh, I'm trying to figure out where the sights exactly sit. They're not quite where you think they're sitting. They're like, you have to aim even by the where the blade is. You need to aim slightly to the right of where you think you need to aim. Like right there. See, I have him in my sight, and then you need to aim slightly off. Now, not the best idea in the world, but oh well. There we go. Now, the actual Shosha had a selector switch, semi-automatic or full. You couldn't really get away with just tapping single shots on full auto. But even then, look at this. The ability to just single shot, semi-automatic tap fire and have 20 rounds. Although the magazines held 20 rounds, I believe you are only supposed to load them to 18. And many times the mags were of such poor quality that you'd probably only get away with loading to 15. I think modern people who own a Shosha and shoot them, like in America and stuff like that, you pretty much only load the magazines to like 10 rounds. Because the springs are so heavily worn. Now this little thing, this, I adore, is a ruby pistol. So, France basically needed, France had a revolver at the start of the First World War. It was the 1892 1892 double action revolver. And they desperately needed handguns. So they went to Spain and got, I think their ruby was kind of a copy of the 1903 hammerless American pistol. Oh my gosh, ouch. So they just started cranking them out. They also made them in France as well, but majority were made in Spain. It's 32 ACP. It's a decent enough handgun. Not amazing, but honestly, I like it. And in Verdun, it's actually a very good handgun in this game, I must say. Oh, beautiful. Victory for the French. Man, I haven't played this in ages. That was fun.